Ukrainian paratroopers prevented an all-out Russian assault in the Kurakhove direction. Russian forces executed 16 Ukrainian prisoners of war in the Donetsk region. Former Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte officially became the new NATO Secretary General.
Step up our support for Ukraine and bring it ever closer to NATO.
Hi, I'm Iva Kucherenko. This is United 24 Media. Ukrainian paratroopers prevented an all-out Russian assault in the Kurakhove direction, stated the press service of the 79th Air Assault Brigade. According to them, Russian forces employed 19 armored vehicles to attempt to break the line of the Ukrainian defenders. In the end, the Tavern airborne fighters took down 23 Russian soldiers, wounding as many, and destroyed 4 tanks and 2 IFVs carrying the infantry. Ukraine made a successful test launch of its new homemade ballistic missiles, stated President Zelensky during the second annual International Forum of Defense Industries, held in Kyiv on October 1st. He reported that the Ukrainian military-industrial complex is well on its way to becoming a leader in Europe with a monthly production of 15 Bogdana self-propelled howitzers. Among other newly developed weapons, Zelensky stated that Neptune cruise missiles and unmanned naval drones are already defending the nation, with the recently unveiled Polyanitsa rocket drone to boot.
In the first half of 2024 alone, Ukraine produced 25 times more artillery and mortar ammunition than in the entirety of 2022. Our capabilities continue to grow, including the production of 4 million drones annually, with 1.5 million already contracted.
To follow the latest news on Ukraine, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Ukrainian-made ammunition now accounts for half of all munitions used in combat zones, stated Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal. According to him, every second munition in the combat zone is homemade. During a government meeting, he emphasized the substantial increase in domestic arms production, which tripled in 2023. Shmyhal added the government is working every day with its partners to increase weapon supplies and enhance the development of the Ukrainian defense industry. Russian forces executed 16 Ukrainian prisoners of war in the Donetsk region. This is the largest known incident of its kind involving Ukrainian prisoners on the front lines, stated the Prosecutor General. According to his office, information surfaced on Telegram channels on October 1st, alleging that the Russian military forces executed 16 captured Ukrainian soldiers near the villages of Mykolaiivka and Suhy Yar in the Pokrovsk direction. A video, which has since circulated online, shows the prisoners under Russian control being led out of the wooded area and lined up, whereupon Russian forces opened fire. The Donetsk Regional Prosecutor's Office has initiated a pre-trial investigation. Meanwhile, Russian forces routinely torture and abuse Ukrainian prisoners of war, the United Nations reported on October 1st. As stated by the head of the UN Human Rights, based on hundreds of interviews, details have emerged of how Russian authorities subject Ukrainian POWs to widespread and systematic torture and ill treatment. Some Russian officials have explicitly encouraged the inhumane treatment and even killing of Ukrainian POWs. Russian propagandists reported the first-ever usage of an aviation thermobaric bomb of increased power in Vovchansk, Kharkiv region. However, the Kharkiv Operational and Tactical Group underlined that this information was false. A spokesperson for the group stated that the Russian troops used a smaller, less powerful munition to create spectacular footage. A video started circulating online on October 2nd. According to Russian Telegram channels, it supposedly shows the detonation of the so-called father of all bombs, which contains a thermobaric warhead. The ATB IP-9000 is a thermobaric bomb designed to be dropped from heavy bombers such as the Tupolev Tu-160. Russians claim this bomb to be the most powerful conventional non-nuclear weapon in the world, with a payload of 44 tons of TNT, causing a blast radius of nearly 300 meters. Previously, in Vovchansk, the joint forces of the Defense Intelligence of Ukraine managed to retake a key Russian stronghold occupying the aggregate plant. Since then, Moscow is decidedly trying to retake the lost territory. Russia has struck the city of Kharkiv in September a record 53 times, the highest number since the beginning of last year, according to city mayor Igor Terechov. Based on statistics published on his Telegram channel, of the 53 attacks, 38 were made using guided aerial bombs. 188 people were injured in these air raids, 19 of whom were children. The total amount of hours spent under air raid alert was 300 hours, the equivalent of 12 full days. The Ukrainian High Command ordered the defenders of Vuhledar city to pull back and regroup to deter personal losses and consolidate the reserves, reported the Rutte Operational Strategic Group. Meanwhile, 107 civilians still remain in Vuhledar, informed the head of the military administration, Vadim Filashkin, on October 1st. Although a mandatory evacuation is in progress in the surrounding 10-kilometer area, intense fighting is preventing any humanitarian effort to or from the city. The State Emergency Service and the National Police managed to evacuate all the children. Former Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte officially becomes the new NATO Secretary General. A ceremony was held at the Alliance headquarters in Brussels on Tuesday. According to Rutte, he will carry forward the key priorities established by his predecessor, in particular, supporting Ukraine.
My second priority is to step up our support for Ukraine and bring it ever closer to NATO. Because there can be no lasting security in Europe without a strong, independent Ukraine. I know from personal experience, with the downing of flight MH17 in 2014, how conflict in Ukraine is not contained to the front lines. So we must do our part. We must deliver on the package agreed at the Washington summit. The command, the financial pledge, and Ukraine's irreversible path to membership. And we must sustain this support into the future, because Ukraine's rightful place is in NATO.
Jens Stoltenberg, who was head of NATO for a decade, passed a ceremonial gavel to the new Secretary General on the occasion. Before that, he underlined that over the last 10 years, the alliance has undergone its biggest transformation in decades.
Our family of allies and partners has grown. Montenegro, North Macedonia, Finland and Sweden joined our alliance. And Ukraine is closer to NATO than ever before. In 2014, we only provided marginal support to Ukraine. Now our support is massive, and NATO is coordinating it through our new command in Germany.
Ukraine has the right to defend itself, and this right does not end at the border, stated newly appointed Rutte. During his first briefing on this position, he expressed his support for NATO weapon strikes on legitimate targets within Russia. However, he underlined that such decisions should be made independently by each NATO member.
Supporting Ukraine's right to self-defense means that it is also possible for them to strike legitimate targets on the aggressor's territory. At the end, it's up to each ally to determine its support for Ukraine. That's not up to me. This is for the individual allies in their relationship with Ukraine.
134 Ukrainian citizens were successfully evacuated from Lebanon on Tuesday. The operation was conducted by the main intelligence directorate and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. According to the statement, the undertaking was part of a broader effort to repatriate Ukrainian citizens due to the worsening security situation in the region.
There's an ongoing war in Ukraine, and I did not expect that someone would take care of Ukrainians that are abroad, who knows where, somewhere in the Middle East. So I decided to come back home. My city is relatively calm during this war. I live in Mykolaiv. We know more or less what to expect in the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. Nobody knows what will happen here in the Middle East.
A total of 179 people were evacuated, among them 45 people of other nationalities. Along with the people, 3 pets, 2 dogs and a cat were also brought back from Lebanon. That's it for today. We're United 24 Media. Thanks for being with us and see you on Friday.